Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of your Brains Coach podcast. My name is Angela Shurina. I'm your host, I'm your Brains Coach, and it is my job here to deconstruct, make you aware of, bring to you, share with you, help you to use and apply to your life all the brain body tools so you can take better control of your emotions, of your thoughts, of your actions, and shape the life experience that you absolutely love living. And nothing like getting more things done that will shape your life in the right direction. And most importantly, getting the right things done and being as efficient as possible with all the things that you don't enjoy doing, you need to do, you must do, but at some point you need to delegate and unload so you could develop your talents, which will allow you to develop mastery, which will allow you to be more useful, to be more of service, valued service to other people, which will actually create more freedom, will allow you to charge more for your services, which will create this perpetual cycle of being able to invest more and more in your genius, being more and more valued for a specific talent, quote unquote, specific skill set you develop, which will again create more freedom, and on and on and on. Folks, today and this month of June, I'm dedicating to reinventing my systems that served me for quite a while, but cannot serve me moving forward. What got you here, what got you there, from good to great. How companies, how people, how entrepreneurs, how thought leaders jump from one level to another. They lean into the mess of what they do, or the mess of upgrading to the new. They lean into the mess while doing the upgrade in order to go faster moving forward. It's true for athletes, it's true in business. When an athlete learns, and I spent quite a few years coaching and learning from athletes and the best coaches. When an athlete learns a new technique, first they go slower. It feels like you were an elite runner and now you are learning how to walk again. But then once you learn a new better technique, once you put it into practice, once you start developing mastery around that, that's when you surpass your previous records. And the same is true for business and work. You have your older system that served you for a while, but before you can jump to the next level, like in my career, serving more people, working with corporates, switching from one-on-one to teams and a lot more people. Before I can get there, I need to create better systems to serve those people in a more effective way without killing myself or having to hire a whole team of other people that usually at the beginning you don't really have resources. Like I don't have resources to invest in a whole bunch of people at the beginning. So I need to invest into better systems, which actually works better and more economically moving forward. So for example, in order to serve more people effectively as a coach, I need to create a system of making sure that people follow through on actions, to keep people accountable, to track people's results, to be with them without having to spend more time on it. And in order to do that, I need to start using a new system, which I learned about using AI as my research advisor, who suggested me a couple of tools that coaches and consultants find incredibly useful to serve more people more effectively. And so I'm onboarding my clients to a new system this week, this month. And the system is amazing. It has all the blows and whistles, but it also requires somewhere in the ballpark of 20 hours to master it. You gotta dedicate that amount of time, obviously spread out, or you can also dedicate a whole weekend to it and just learn it in one go. But I found for systems like that, it's best when you learn it and you apply it, and doing it in a spread out fashion works much better. And yes, while doing so, I'm gonna feel like a slow turtle, like learning to walk again. Like I'm gonna feel so not perfect, not in a state of being an expert, but a total beginner. And I'm not going to be as effective with delivering my coaching to my clients, meaning it's going to take me more time. It's going to take a time and trial and error. But in the end, just like an athlete, once the new tool, the new technique settles in, you're going to go a lot faster and you're going to jump to a new level. Go slow to go fast. That's what it means. And not only coaching system or platform, that's not the only thing that I'm going to be working on this week and moving forward into June. I'm looking at all of my systems and asking myself this question: where can I spend less time achieving the same result? What tools can I use like AI? What people can I use? What can I batch? And what can I eliminate and simplify? Again, what can I reinvent and do better in order to achieve the same result, but to do it more economically? So then I can create lavishly, generously more time for things that matter, like relationships with other people, like delivering high quality service to people I work with, like delivering higher quality service, but also, again, building relationship, building business. Like, how can I do more with less? And it is possible. And here's something that I'm going to share with you. It's a compilation of my thinking based on my own experience and a ton of books that I've read and tons of productivity experts that I've listened to. And also a huge influence was work of Cal Newport, his latest book on productivity, slow productivity, how to achieve more without burnout or without rush, depending on what version of the subtitle you get, where you get your books. So I'm going to be using his work, Cal Newport's work, and Get Things Done and Effortless and Para System, PARA by Tiago Forte, one again of the top experts on productivity. A lot of things goes into my thinking, also biology and our circadian productivity. So let me share with you what I'm going to be upgrading, updating, and putting into practice in my own life, in all areas of life, from training to networking to being a coach and serving my clients. So a few things: cooking, eating takes a lot of decision making and time if we are not careful. So a lot of people ask me, Angela, how can you eat the same meals over and over again? Simply, I don't focus on that. And it saves me a lot of time on thinking about what I'm going to buy at grocery store, what I'm going to eat. I just don't want to be spending my decision-making power, my creativity on my food. It's not the most important thing in my life. It is important. It's fuel, the quality. But once I got my working system, there is no need to think about that. It's like Seth Godin had the same breakfast for 20 years. Why? Was it a huge fan of his breakfast? No, it just works, and he goes on and spends his decision-making power on something more important, from relationship to business building. So shop once, cook 2 times a week, and have the same meals. Prepare things like eggs in advance. So boil, for me, I eat 3 boiled eggs every day. And then once a week, I usually spend breakfast out. And so 18 eggs for the whole week, cook them once. That's just one of the examples. And then shop once for the whole week, cook 2 times, just because vegetables usually get not that great tasting. And I found that for me, at the moment, that's the thing that I can afford time-wise and fridge space-wise and resources like money-wise. Eventually, with my cooking, I'm going to move to a model where I'm going to team up with a few people and we're going to ask a chef or someone who does cooking to cook food for us. And we're just going to figure out how to get them groceries and the food going to be delivered, etc. So that's where eventually where I'm going to move with my food. No out of the way things, meaning if I need to do a meeting, how can I batch a few meetings in one day, in one block? So instead of sprinkling them all over the place, that's going to take, a lot of logistics and traveling there or setting yourself up for the meeting, how can I batch those meetings in one block of time that will allow me to streamline all the operations? Networking during lunches and morning or evening walks. No, again, all over the place, spending my precious time of work, business life building on something that can be batched with things that I already do, like, again, lunches or dinners and walks. Match energy with your task, meaning morning is amazing for strategy, for focused, strategic, and precise thinking, designing programs, designing presentations, proposals, anything that requires me to combine all of the information in my head and all the research and putting it into a piece of work, creative work, also like making podcasts, like making videos, writing. It all has to happen before noon. Otherwise, it's going to take me forever to do that. So that is a huge productivity upgrade that a lot of people just don't think about. Like in the afternoon, I can do meetings, I can finish off things here and there. I can be very productive with a lot of things, just not the most cognitively depending thing. So make sure that you do the task at the time where you have the most energy and capacity and talent to do so. Usually it corresponds with whether you're a morning person or a night person. You're going to have your blocks of time where you are objectively at your best, cognitively and physically. Again, batch things, don't sprinkle them. If I decide to work on my writing or creating strategy, proposal, presentations, getting ready for workshops, for anything that again requires maximum cognitive capacity, I need to make it into one block at the beginning of my day. Instead of sprinkling meeting here and there, it seems like it only, let's say, meeting 15-20 minute chat, but it's going to take you out of that flow state that you have to work your way towards. And then you're going to take some time in the meeting, and then it's going to take you another 20 minutes on average, they say, to get back into the same flow. And you're probably not even going to get to the same depth, creativity, and insight if you were to work on something straight for 3 hours. It's not the same, guys. The amount of time you spend on the same task, sprinkled or batched together, it's not the same quality of work. Email, phone, SMS, text, social media. A lot of people ask me, Angela, why are you not available on your phone? Guess what? I'm busy doing things, and interruptions decreases the quality, the amount of work you're capable of. So email, phone, social media. I'm not a ambulance or emergency worker. And so I can allow myself to not be on the call 24/7. And actually a lot more people are capable of not being available for a few hours every day. But very few people actually realize that freedom and ask for it at their workplace, or when they collaborate with other people, or when you have your family members. You can afford time to yourself, to your deep work that actually will serve your family, your kids, your spouses, and yourself. But you need to develop gut muscle or courage to ask for it. Like, this serves me and us better. So let's figure out how I can have this time with your employer, with your spouse, with your kids. There is always a way to get the time for deep work where you're going to create things that are going to be remarkable and that's going to distinguish you from anyone else. Now, as far as my content, which is a big part of your work, if you decide to be a thought leader, if you decide to be someone who produces insights and mental models and systems to do something better, a lot of your time is going to be spent in learning, thinking, systemizing, and then producing shareable content. Whether that's for me, videos, newsletter, podcast, or it's something else for you. And so it's the same as deep work. When you batch it together, when you schedule specific time for that uninterrupted, it's going to go a lot faster than if you were to sprinkle it all over the place and your brain never knows what to expect and when. When your brain knows when it's going to do what it's going to do, it's going to prepare you so much better for the task at hand. It's like before my videos and podcasts and newsletters, my brain knows what I'm about to do and it starts feeding me all these ideas and visions, and I'm just in a rush to write it all down and put it in some shareable content like this podcast. So videos, newsletters, podcasts, any sorts of content creation, the more you can batch it, the more you can put it together, the more you can schedule at the same time in the same place, the better it gets. Edge time, underappreciated kind of time that you can use. For example, in my case, I use it for learning. How do I read at least one, but usually 2 books a week? Now I'm actually going to be shooting for 3 books a week soon. How do I do that? Well, when I wait for something or someone, when I take an Uber, when I take a walk, I consume content, reading, listening to it in all these possible ways instead of being frustrated that something isn't or someone isn't coming fast enough. When people make me wait, they often apologize and say, sorry for making you wait. I'm like, I don't really care. I got to read this book, and because of that, I'm feeling very productive, and like this whole, what you call, wasted time, actually a bonus in my day, additional reading time. And then we speed up the meeting, focusing on the most important. So use that, what one of the books I have recently went through on motivation calls edge time. So time which is in between things. One of my coaching clients, started using public transportation and things like Uber because he realized he doesn't have to pay attention then to driving, and he can actually learn more effectively or even work on things that require deep work. AI. These days, it's my favorite technology ever. It does more sophisticated tools using AI will take you time to learn them. Just like my coaching system, it will take 20 to 30 hours to learn how to operate in it effectively and efficiently. But once I do, I'm going to be flying instead of walking or running. So where am I going to use AI these days? The things that I've recently experimented with and found that they work really, really well. I'm still finding my pace, trying out things, and it's not perfect, but it's already giving me a lot more return on my investment of time. My podcast. So what AI does now, they call it at Buzzsprout co-host AI. It takes my podcast, then suggests me the headings, the titles, which I usually look at, consider, and rewrite, but it's definitely much faster and easier, and also considers the context of the world of life that doesn't often lives in my mind. And so AI suggests me things, and then I added them, and we come up with something better that I could have thought of myself. Plus, it requires a lot less time on thinking. Then it introduces chapters into my podcast that makes it more useful to you guys. So on this podcast, there are chapters now that you can click and see a specific piece of information or knowledge. Then I use it to create notes and summaries, which I also edit a little bit. But again, it's a lot easier and less time consuming than if I were to do it all by myself. And it is better for things like SEO that then looks at these notes that are online and picks up my podcast much more effectively. That's the idea. So less time spending on podcasts with co-host AI that transcribes, analyzes, suggests me titles and puts the chapters and creates the notes. It's amazing. Newsletter. I'm a great drafter, a blank page kind of person. I love starting things and putting all of my stories and content on paper, but it is not always well structured or grammatically correct and understandable for other people. So I feed it to ChatGPT, ask to structure it, make it grammatically correct, and then I put it into my newsletter, change up bits and pieces to make it sound more like myself. And then off we go, shipping it to you guys. By the way, are you subscribed to my daily newsletter where I put advice for mindset, for productivity, for health, written and told through my personal stories and what life teaching me as I go. So if you're not subscribed, there is a link to subscribe in the show notes. Believe me, you're not gonna regret it. There is gonna be information, pieces of advice, which are based on research, which are based on the best books that just came out from researchers to thought leaders, and some of them gonna transform your thinking, your life, and your business, and your health and your apps as well. So check it out in the show notes. So that's what I do with AI for my newsletter. I'm also going to be trying some writing specific AI agents like Copy AI. If not this week, then next week. Videos. I'm also going to be trying 2 tools for creating videos from text. So when I do a newsletter, I'm going to feed that to an AI agent. And one of them is Lumen 5. I'm going to try a couple. I'm going to feed it to the AI agent, and then it's going to create video presentation that I'm going to try to put on my social media, and probably, as I'm thinking, using Copy AI to write the copy for the text if Lumen 5 doesn't provide that. So already brainstorming as I'm sharing with you guys. So videos, that, and then there are other tools that turn my draft videos into reels and into edited versions of these videos with my specifications, with the copy. So that I'm also going to be trying this week, because I have more than enough ideas and I'm really good at shooting draft videos, those first versions. I'm not that passionate about editing and all that marketing, etc. So why not use the luxury of our time, all the AI agent that cost you nothing to try and a very low cost compared to humans, to create the combination or a mix of your unique content with a better spinned out version of trends and marketing and copywriting done by the AI. So that's what I'm going to be experimenting with. And again, folks, the thing is, just like with eating healthier or creating better lifestyle routine or doing house renovation, first, you got to go through the stage of mess. Like, it's going to get messy. You're going to feel like a failure, like so inefficient, like learning to walk again. But to go faster, you gotta go slower first. That works for athletes, for house renovations, or rebuilding your business system. So be patient. That's how it's supposed to feel. Before you eat, your new eating routine gonna fit like a glove, it's gonna feel like the worst idea ever, on which you'll have to spend additional time, additional resources, additional thinking time. And that's about it for the systems that I'm going to be trying. Coaching system, I already mentioned. If you're curious, CoachAccountable, that's the one I'm going to be trying. So just Google it. John, the guy, the creator, is just amazing by putting it together and making it fun and making it super useful. So I'm just blown away what one person with 10 years under their belt can do. So CoachAccountable. And I want to also give you a side note on, for me, productivity is never about being as efficient as possible with every single thing I do, getting into the meeting, getting out of the meeting. And I think that's where I'm very similar to Tim Ferriss and his 4-hour week. You learn how to be more effective with things in order to spend lavishly and generously your time and resources and your life on things that truly matter, that fulfill you, like your deep work and the craft that you want to master, like relationships with people around you, whether that's in a daily unplanned encounter and really seeing the person on the other side while you're in a conversation with them, getting that coffee, or being at a grocery store and actually seeing that shop assistant and engaging in the conversation fully and presently instead of just getting somewhere. Or relationships that will last a lifetime, from your friends to your business partners to your life and romantic partners. Efficiency and effectiveness is about learning how to sprint those pieces of life and work that can be more effective, can be upgraded, can be done better and faster. So then you have the capacity to be fully present, not rushing, paying attention to the life itself and what it has to offer. And life is messy. You can't plan it. And the best times are the times you never thought of. And instead of feeling frustrated and rushed and stressed and anxious about how things go their own way, even with the best plans and strategies in place, realize that that's what life is, and do your best to create the kind of life that allows you to do more, be super effective, and at the same time be super unoptimized for being present and for what is, not for what might happen sometimes according to your plan. So that's a lyrical ending to this podcast. Get effective to live life unrushed. However paradoxically it sounds, that's what I'm learning is the best way to live a life that feels meaningful, that fulfills your mind, body, and soul. And that's the best way to create non-ordinary things: relationships, business, mastery. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for tuning in. If you want to learn more about the systems, the books, the insights that I mentioned, feel free to reach out, Angela@brainbreakthroughcoach.com. Please do subscribe to my newsletter. The link is in the show notes to never miss a tip a day to develop your best self, your most extraordinary life, body, mind, and be well, think well, do well. And productivity. Still need to refine my own message and my unique value proposition. But folks, subscribe to that newsletter. And the most amazing thing you can do for me to all of us share this energy of giving and of upgrading, of making things better, share this podcast with one other person who might truly benefit from it, who might be feeling rushed and like they're running out of fuel and running at their full speed and still not getting anywhere. So share this podcast with that person so they can do everything they want to do and still have a beautiful, unrushed life experience. Share. This is the best gift you can give to me as a host of this podcast. And this is also quite a gift that you can give to the world. Let's all be a little bit more giving. Thank you, folks, for tuning in. Thank you for listening, and have an uber productive week in all the best senses. Talk to you soon. Have an awesome week.